Welcome to Tales to be Told in the Dark. Now, do we call this 24 postscript? Because it's not a postscript. As much as anything else, it's a prescript. Let me explain why. Let's go back to that word individual. It is both self-cancelling. I'm sure there is an actual term for this. It cancels itself out, and it's as much as anything else, it's an IN Strut on. The mind's eye we're referring to here, switching it on. Then you realize what's being presented in this word. So if we take the divid, which is the dividend, it pays a dividend when you see this. So we take that out, so now we're left with in you all. So it's telling you where this is going to take place. I explained this on video previously, some time ago, but I forgot to say it in this etymology of the word individual. So now let's look at that middle part again. It's divid. It's a palindrome. You've got the V, which is the marker. The V is also the five senses. When you come down into that material, physical sense, you reach your limit of opacity, as Neville Goddard calls it. God at the most restricted form, because that's basically what you are, whether you realize it or not. But this is where the word individual is actually an instruction. It's an instructor. Instruct you are. Instruct you are energy. Because either side of the V, now on the left of it you have die. So what has to die? Well, look to the other side of the V and you've got ID. There's the false persona. That's the legal fiction. That's all the things you identify yourself as, your employment, your state of being, in a way. You could say, I am happy, I am sad. Well, you're all of these things. But that doesn't tell you who you are. They're just descriptors of association and attachment to things. Now some will say, oh, you're just making things out of the words. It only works in English. I disagree. So let's look at the French words for I am. It's je suis. Now you take the I out of je suis and you're left with Jesus. We do it with German. I-C-H-B-I-N. I Christ be in. Or I see him be in. It works across all languages. It's a universal language that is expressed phonetically and in the shadows that are cast when these words are carved, or in an engraving or engraved. We could go off on a tangent here on the word grave as well. But when you see the V and what's either side of it, the DI and the ID, you've got your reflection there as well. You've got your duality either side of that V. And it's about bringing yourself together. So imagine that letter V. You start at the top. Those two diagonal lines come together when you reach the rock bottom. The Christ has to come down into a human form. as expressed in the Bible. These are just metaphors, these are just allegories, that it's just a story. It's not actually anything to do with this external world at all. It's a spiritual history that is being expressed. There's that saying as well, there is nothing new under the sun. Well, certainly as far as the physicality, in relation to the solar plexus, anything below that, there's nothing new about it. It's as old as when that seed was placed into the physical body. The physical body is as old as that placement. But it's finite, it's self, it's spiritual energy. Now the L, as I've said many times, is the I. It's the lower calf and the foot being as a glyph in shorthand form. Now the F is finite. So in a human form it is finite. That is what self is. The individual self, it's just so the Creator can express. So you die unto yourself. What that means is the false persona identity that you're encouraged to think that you actually are, which is not your true self at all. It's finding your true self, your essence, which is that expression of the Creator. Now it's handing over the controls to that higher self. You can get into the realms of whether you want to call it God or you are, but basically you are an individual expression of that Creator. To operate in a physical, material realm requires a physical being. But think about this, it's expressed as the living God. So where would you expect to find a living God but where else but in something that is alive, that is living, not earning a living. An urn is what you put cremated ashes in, which again, there's a duality to that because the death creates new life. That is readily expressed in the nutrients from the ash that's created. And I have living proof of that in this place I reside. Because there's nothing wasted here. The ash is mixed in with the soil to rejuvenate the soil. And what is being expressed there in a physical sense, in this physical reality, is no different from what is actually happening here in this video, in these words. The Word became flesh, don't forget. So if the soil is right, that seed will take in nature. Now, if you are open to the ideas of what has been talked about here, and this feels right to you, you are that soil for the seed of this idea. It's an individual. There's the ID on the energy of the all. There's idea. So that's a little prescript, postscript, however you want to see it. It's just what is revealed in these words is what I personally see with the mind's eye, from what I hear, from what I feel about these words, by looking at etymology. Now, what is etymology? It's eating into time of logging or studying. So I'm trying to sort of make this easier for you to save you an awful lot of work. So you can now put your time into something of finding yourself. This is just hopefully to guide you from a personal experience perspective. There are many, many perspectives, of course, and we are all reflections of each other. But at the same time, we are all one. There's another expression of the duality of the individuality. it's it's circular, and of course, it is all wheels within wheels. It's often talked about squaring the circle as the negative polarity, so the opposite polarity of that would be circling the square. But regardless of what the external shape is, really, the point of it is right in the middle, which is you and I. And I am you, and you are me, and we are one, effectively. So hopefully that has, this little prescript, postscript has added a bit more that I forgot to say. And while I'm on this, while I think of it, while it's just come back into the mind, a big, big thank you for the couple of donations. That has made an enormous difference. And a testimony of going to the end. This is experience, because I've taken the positive steps by letting go of the pride and not being afraid to ask for some help. But at the same time, all I've done is go to the end and ask myself that question: how would it feel to have the what looks to be a challenge in the present moment? How would it feel if that was alleviated? So you hold the feeling of that sigh of relief, because it's going to happen, and you stay true to that feeling, and of course it does happen, and there is a proof for you. Now all you have to do is apply that to anything in this reality. And the more you can impress that feeling that you already have what you desire, has this magical interaction with the material world, and the thoughts you impress on the body, which creates chemical changes in the body, then has this interaction. If you think of it in terms of an energetic canvas, you've got a neutral field. That is the green screen, the natural screen of the external world around you that you're looking out and observing. So being basically magnetics from the heart, you're putting out a frequency into that neutral field. Now that neutral field will have to match your frequency. That is the power of co-creation. That is the power of creation. That is something that we generate inside ourselves. So hopefully that has made it a lot clearer, and may you be able to give testimony of finding this for yourself as well, because it is a wonderful experience. And it's like, wow, this is the magic. This is what has been hidden all along. This is what we've been made, as Adrian Lease talks about this, we've been no more playing small, no more being frightened and being guilted and shamed into, oh no, you mustn't use that power. It's, no, look at the devastation you've caused. You've destroyed things with that power. Yes, the power can destroy if it's used in the wrong way. But if it's coming from the heart, it's going to create, it's not going to destroy. But at the same time, some things have to be destroyed to get rid of the old to make way for the new. Most of that is getting rid of this system programming into we are these physical beings and we are insignificant. Quite the opposite. We are highly significant. We are potentially highly charged. We have the ability to create within us. We have the ability to take control of our destiny, take control of this reality, and become what we were always intended to become by our collective creator, of which we are all individual expressions. So a little bit more to add to the explanation on the etymology for you. So love to you all until the next episode, which I seem to remember I said was going to be about eugenics. So that could be an interesting one, especially when you hear my take on it and my feelings about it all. We'll come on to that in the next episode.